Hey everybody, this is Hero, and welcome back to my Dark Souls 2 beta footage. Now, last time we left off, I was in an invasion, this very same invasion that I'm in right now, and I was lamenting the fact that the areas that I have to look through in here when you're invading are fucking huge. I can honestly see why people like Peeve and Oroboro the Ninja and all those kinds of people were like setting up to actually use like the red sign soapstone that you could get from the filthy the merchant right next to the bonfire. I can honestly see why people like use that, because otherwise, getting random invasions, actually getting to like see people around, just like wandering around and stuff, it's impossible. For me at least, like in my experience, that is exactly what was going on with me. Like I invade an area, walk around for ages, can't fucking see anything, and then occasionally I find them and then I get stun locked to death. So that is my experience so far with the Dark Souls 2 PvP. Like at least so far in the video, I did have some proper fights later on, and they were actually very enjoyable. So I'm not down on the PvP. I'm just down on the fact that this area is so gigantic. And yeah. So this is a little bit off topic. This is like the second episode now of this that I've recorded in a new recording setup. And I know I keep saying, I've got a new recording setup, I'd like to hear what you think. Boom, fall off the edge, die. I didn't even find the guy in that invasion. I was in his world for like 4 or 5 minutes. And I didn't even end up finding him. So, yeah, I'm in a bit of a new recording setup. I've actually moved my desktop computer and monitors and stuff into my room, whereas they were out in a different room before where I couldn't use all my recording stuff, and I thought that the computer fans would be a bit too loud, but apparently I don't think they are. Please tell me if you do think they are too loud, or you can hear some noises that you don't want to be hearing, that kind of stuff. I'm real anal about that kind of stuff. I don't like hearing controller noises and all that junk in a recording, like in a let's play or anything. I understand that sometimes it just can't be helped due to the type of microphone that people use. And the fact that a noise gate can only capture so much if you decide to edit your voice after you've recorded it all. I do understand why, and I tolerate that, there are situations where people record things and it just can't be helped. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's just that at the moment, I feel like I have the means to be able to stop all of those things from occurring. So I would like to know that my quality is as good as I think it is after, the while I've spent trying to, get it good. Anyway, as you can see, we've just taken out one of those big brutes, one of those guys that only respawns like 3 or 4 times, I think, which is weird. Like for Dark Souls enemies, like if something respawned in a Demon Souls or Dark Souls, then it respawned forever, unless it was a red phantom enemy. And if it respawned, then you had to deal with it every single time you went through the area. And this is like one of the things that makes me not necessarily worry, but sort of just take a minute to think about the fact that if I'm recording a challenge run or something like that in the near future, if low-level runs are even feasible at all, then if I run through an area and there are 3 big dudes of some description, I could potentially cheese that area by actually just deciding I'll kill this enemy 4 or 5 times in a row, and then he won't respawn anymore, and then move on to the next one, and the next one. It doesn't matter if I die or not, because by the time I get through all of that, by the time I've finished killing all the enemies, then when I eventually die against the boss or something, my run towards the boss again is completely free of those 3 enemies, and essentially you've neutered the challenge a bit by killing enemies over and over and over again. And I'm kind of a fan of it because I thought that, some enemies that respawn in the older games were a bit strange or a bit cheap or whatever, and then some enemies just didn't respawn. You're like, why don't these respawn? They're really fun to fight, But I think the reason the bigger enemies don't respawn at the moment in the after a while in the beta was that so that you couldn't farm the radiant life gems and life gems that they dropped, because the big enemies, they dropped all of the radiant life gems and stuff. Now, after a failed dalliance with all of the PvP kind of end of stuff, I've decided to run back to PvE, and I've managed to find a lever inside one of these buildings which lowers this gigantic steel bridge. Now, this is really cool. I like it when the levels open up like this and you got this really grand sort of scape of how, you activate a switch here and then something huge happens and you can still see it, and the lighting looks gorgeous over here. And on the ground you can see all these white signs and stuff. I didn't summon any white phantoms at all. I didn't even try. Honestly, because I thought some people were saying that the beta was too easy. And not even the people that, whoa, hello, and not even the people that always summon phantoms and stuff. People who wanted to summon, people who just wanted to go through solo were saying that it felt a little bit too easy because of all the life gems and stuff, and I don't necessarily disagree with them. And look at this reanimation animation for for the skeletons now. It looks awesome when they get back up. And as soon as I see a skeleton, I go, oh shit, there's a necromancer in here, because that's just how you think after you've done Dark Souls for a while. There's a necromancer in here if there's skeletons, because they came back to life, and that means you've got bloody guy in black. I managed to kill him that time, found him pretty easily, which was good because the skeletons don't actually seem to respawn as quickly as they did in the original Dark Souls, which is really good because in the beta with no poise and stuff, that could have been really, really brutal. And these skeletons in here, so that skeleton is guarding a lever, like a door pull thing to bring that gate back up, and that gate is a shortcut to get to the what do you call it? The area, basically the area that leads up to the Skeleton Lords with the waterfall and stuff. That is where that shortcut leads. Now, I didn't summon anyone, and this is kind of, just a fact of if people are saying they thought it was maybe a little bit too easy, then given the fact that I have sort of, half proven myself to be okay at these games in, previous times, then I think I could maybe handle this, by myself. And I do understand that, people that summon phantoms and stuff, they're not necessarily, bad at the game or anything. They don't even, or most of the time, I don't even think they need help. I just think is that they want help. There's a big difference between needing and wanting help. You bring someone in and, you're like, oh, I don't think I can beat this area. I'd like you to come, kill some of the enemies for me. That kind of thing. That is when you need help. That's when you don't think you can progress by yourself. And I just got gangbanged there. When you can't progress by yourself, that's when you need help. And, there's nothing to be ashamed about that. But wanting help, they're just the people that, sit down, maybe with their mates in the they set up a little lobby or something, and they say, "I put my sign down here, pick me up, and we can go through this level and have a bit of fun." That's awesome, and that was even more fucking awesome. Did you see the running attack, like two-handed running attack with his Zweihander hitting one of the hollows? That was glorious. He just went absolutely flying. Now, we are... I lost my way a little bit, so... Yep, here's the bridge area, and I've forgotten that all of the enemies have come back, so I have to... Am I running away? No, I think I'm actually fighting. And see, these situations, they get hairy very quickly, because if you're like me and you just want to like rush back to the area that you got to so that you can get towards the boss again, or get towards the area that will lead you to the area that takes you to the boss, you don't think about having to take care of these things all over again, because this slog, like towards the Skeleton Lord area, is pretty long, and I guess that's why they actually have an actual shortcut there for you to take. Now, there is actually there are a couple of like semi-shortcuts here, because over where the light is coming from, where we are right now, there's a little one of those buildings that we found the lever in before that lowered the bridge. There's one of those little hut things, but the door is closed and it's locked, and you find a key to that lock in the cave where the necromancer was. And in order to open up the in order to open up the gate, you need the key, obviously. And once you open up the key, there's a bonfire inside there, and you can sit down and rest there, and you no longer have to deal with, all these enemies that you attract to yourself and wish that you'd been a little bit more careful and that kind of thing. But the great thing about this is that we're actually... Oh shit, I didn't even realize we had one of these big guys. That's probably why I was being so timid before. Oh, we got a big guy and a little guy. These must have like 5 people on us at one point. Yeah, but the great thing about this, what's going on right now, is that we're not, stuck in someone else's world wondering where the fuck they are. We're moving around. We're moving around in the area, finding new places, finding new weapons, items, getting into new and hairier situations with newer enemies, and it's actually a good sort of progression, enemy-wise at least, I thought, that you move through the game, like you start off just fighting the zombie hollow things, and then you move on to fighting the rogues, and then the rogues with the bow and arrows are introduced, and then after that you move on, you find these big fat guys that you have to figure out. You have to backstab fish them basically if you want to kill them really quickly, and then after that you move to the fast big guys that are on the lead up to the chariot boss fight. And now that you moved into a new area, you found the new rogue area enemy essentially of the area. And excuse me. Basically what you find in there are skeletons. Yay, skeletons. Woo. Who wanted to fight more of those? I know I didn't. But at least you got a new enemy to fight. They're fast, they have a new dynamic to them, as in they resurrect themselves, which is pretty cool. But this is nice, the level design is good, the level progression, is really good. The Zweihander two-handed backstab animation looks fucking awesome. And if you notice that, when the enemy was getting up from being backstabbed to the ground, I was able to hit him with the Zweihander, which is a bit strange because I don't know exactly how this is going to go. Like, given in the fact... sorry, I'm going to start again. Given that in Demon Souls you could hit someone with one of those weapons that had knockback and get them onto the ground, or you could backstab them and get them onto the ground. Once they were on the ground, they didn't have any invulnerability frames, essentially. Like, you couldn't, put them into another backstab and just chain them forever, but you could just do damage to them on the ground if you had a weapon that, like, went vertical or something. And there's a little bit of a return to that with Dark Souls 2, I've noticed, with not necessarily with the people, because I didn't actually manage to get anyone onto the ground with a backstab, I don't think, in my entire experience with the PvP, but you are essentially able to knock an enemy down and attack them while they're down. So that could either, that's good, I think, if you're using a bigger weapon or something. If you're using a big weapon, I think that's a good way to give them a little bit of a heads up, at least in PvE, because basically in PvE in Dark Souls 1, when you move through, like if you got a plus 15 dexterity weapon, it was one-shotting enemies in pretty much every zone of the game up until the Lord Souls areas, regardless, you know? It was one-shotting everything, just because you had a plus 15 weapon and you had some decent stats. So what is the point, essentially, of having a... Oh, did you see that though? I missed my backstab. I missed my backstab on an enemy in the game, not a person, but I went to initiate the backstab. It missed because of how the enemy was moving, and then he was free to capitalize on that. I just picked up the air stock as well. But as I was saying, what is the point of using a strength weapon if the dexterity weapons will be as strong as they need to be to kill everything in one shot anyway? Anyway, I've run a little bit over time because I get a little bit overzealous with these videos, but this has been another episode of the Dark Souls 2 beta footage, obviously. I will see you in the next video, in which we'll be making a little bit more progress, hopefully. Yeah, we will. Alright, I will see you in the next one.